neighborhood beautification. That's very important to Detroit. It's very important to block clubs, organizations, and people who live in the community. We got started with 2 lots and a vision of a treehouse center. Because if we can take these blighted lots, Detroit give us grants to be able to do something with them that the community wants, it's a plus because we're bringing our neighborhoods back to where we want them to be, where they should be, all because I live in Detroit.
All right, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of In the Conference Room with Mark S. Lee. I hope you're having a great day and a great week. Hey, we're still enjoying some nice days here in Metro Detroit. I want you to sit back and relax to enjoy the conversation. As you know, we interview business leaders from across the great city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, as well as across the country. Try to give you the latest information that you can use as you're thinking about growing your business. You might be thinking about starting a business, or you just want information that can help you navigate the challenges. This is the Conference Room, and I'm your host, Mark S. Lee. All right, this week is no exception. We have Mr. Ian Watts. He's a outstanding business person. We'll get his update in a moment. He'll share with you exactly what he's doing. But Mr. Ian Watts, thanks for joining me in the conference room. How you doing?
I am doing phenomenal, Mark. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I'm excited.
Well, we're so glad to have you. I know that we've connected a couple of times. We follow each other on social media. Before we jump into the conversation, tell the viewers and the listeners about yourself in terms of your business and what you focus on, and what is the name of your business as well.
Sure. The name of my company is SB Dream Coach. That stands for the Small Business Dream Coaching Company. And really, our desire is to add real hope and provide real help and not just hype, right? So for so many entrepreneurs, like if you do a search for small business success, the results that you get can absolutely be overwhelming. So the goal for us is to make sure that we are focusing on the 20% that will account for the 80% of success. So rapid revenue growth is something that our clients come to us for, and we do that in 3 areas. 1, which is marketing, and specifically direct response marketing. 2, systems, because the money is in the marketing. The sustainability and scalability is in the systems. And then 3, innovation, right? Because we live in a market-driven economy, the palette that your existing customers, clients, or patients have right now may not necessarily be the same palette a year from now or even months from now, right? So we have to make sure that we're rapidly experimenting, always predicting what the needs and desires are. So those are the 3 things we do at SB Dream Coach.
And as we talk about, let's start a conversation right there. As you know, you run across a lot of businesses. We have one of the questions I get a lot. I'll turn over to you. What is the biggest challenge that you see, whether or not someone wants to start a business, someone who's been in business for a while, they're looking to get to the next level? So there are 2 different questions there. One is, let's talk about the challenges for those wanting to start a business, and then those who are in business and they want to get to the next level. What are you seeing as distinct challenges?
Sure. So I think to a huge extent, the challenge is really similar. So small business expert Michael Gerber has a saying that I like. I really love it, actually, and I think it's appropriate for the statement or the question that you have. He says that most people are not entrepreneurs. They are technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. So what that means practically is that many people go into business because they're good at producing the widget, right? I'm good at baking cakes. But just because you're good at baking cakes does not necessarily mean that you have the tools in your tool belt or you have the skill set to build a bakery where you can produce the same quality cakes with the love and consistency that you're used to. So most people don't understand that there's a big difference between being self-employed or being a technician versus being an entrepreneur, right? So I think that's one of the big challenges. And then too, one of the major challenges, and I know you'll appreciate this as a marketing guy, what I try to convince people is that no matter what they sell, whether it's B2B or B2C or B2B2C, doesn't make a difference. Be it a product or a service, the widget that you produce, that's really not the business that you're in. You're really in the marketing business because the money is in the marketing and the sustainability and the scalability is in the systems. Most people don't understand that. It's a completely different skill set, but the reality is nothing happens until something happens, right? And what most people get good at, and they have embraced the philosophy, it's a great movie, but a horrible business practice. Field of Dreams, great movie, if you build it, they will come.
Right.
They've heard things and embraced philosophies such as a good product sells itself. It absolutely does not. It can help, but if you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle as your business strategy, you do yourself a disservice and shoot yourself in the foot. So
And
I think
that's what a lot of that's what real quick that's what a lot of people do. They want to try to find that lightning in the bottle. So I want to intone that. Go ahead and finish your train of thought.
yeah, well, there's a reason why businesses that hit the news actually hit the news, right? Is because they're newsworthy. It's uncommon. So if that's what people are relying upon, many people go out of business, and they really run into a lot of heartache and headache because they haven't embraced the idea that they're really in the marketing business. Producing a great quality product or service is just the beginning. Now you have to figure out how you can market it to the right group. And I would even argue this. This is something else that I find that a lot of entrepreneurs do. They produce something because they think it's cool. They think it's exciting, right? But the reality is, you heard me mention this earlier, we live in a market-driven economy. So you have to find what the burning desires are, the major pains of the market are, and then you have to make sure that you can deliver messages to them in such a way where they are made aware, you get their attention, they're made aware of what it is that you're offering, and you get them excited about taking advantage of the transformation that they're going to experience as a result of engaging with your company and your product or service. So those are some of the big missteps that if people would just correct that, right? There's a saying, I don't fully subscribe to it, but I can appreciate the sentiment. It's that sales cures all ills. It does not. But if you're selling and you have decent margins, right, and you're not losing money per sale, then it at least gives you the opportunity to correct the things and to fix the areas where you may be ignorant or lacking in skill. But that's a major issue that earlier stage companies run into, and companies that are looking at growing, right? And then if you're in business, to speak about the companies that are already developing, they run into issues of systems more than anything else, right? So though it is rare that too much business will put you out of business, that's a higher quality problem to be wrestling with as opposed to not enough business. But if you get
I would rather have that problem, right?
that's a much higher. There are a whole lot of problems. Business is challenging, right? And it's concentric circles. One area affects the next, but it's a higher quality problem to wrestle with. Man, I've got so much business that it's really hard for me to service it. Well, that means it's time to grow, right? So I think those are the issues. And I'll stop there. I feel like I've spoken a little bit too long.
Well,
but
I think
in
businesses have to scale appropriately. As you're growing, you don't just grow haphazardly. You have to have a plan to scale your business appropriately. Number two, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier as well. Marketing is critical. And, as you all know, I'm also a professor. I teach at 3 different universities. I share this with my students all the time, is the role of marketing it's fairly simple. It's very straightforward. We do business with people that we trust. And the role of marketing is to identify specific needs of your target audience, which is what you're getting at. You talk about the market-driven society, if you will. Another way of saying that is you have a target audience and you understand specifically what their needs are. And then what you do is you develop a product and or service that fills a specific need for a target market, for a target audience. And even more fundamental in that is if you're tuning in today, you're checking us out, and you're grappling with growing your business, think about it. You want to build relationships. And that was my very first statement, is we do business with people that we trust. So marketing helps you to build that trust factor and secure those relationships with people that you want to do with. So let me take that back over to you. When we look at it in that context, in all the businesses that you talk to, why don't they understand that idea? Is it because of the lightning in the bottle? Hey, I got this brilliant idea. I don't care what anybody thinks. I just want to put it out there, whether or not there's a need or not, because I just think it's going to sell. I think it's going to market itself.
Yeah, it is. Oh my goodness. So I'm tempted to take this in a totally different direction to talk about the psychology and neuroscience behind the intoxication. Well, there's emotions make great slaves but poor masters, right? So there is an intoxication that we feel when we have an idea. Forget the fact that the idea is not necessarily founded, right? but I think unfortunately, we have fallen in love with all of the glory, but we don't necessarily know what the stories are of successful entrepreneurs. So we see the end result, not knowing that it may literally have taken 10 years or more to become an overnight success. But I think the problem is most people were just simply not exposed or as exposed as they should be before they venture into the world of entrepreneurship. And then there's something else that came to mind that I think is important to that's of note. I think people really need to reframe what failure looks like. I mentioned earlier, and we talked about, we live in a market-driven economy. What most people have done, and you find that it's a little bit different depending upon the parts of the country that you live in. We're slowly but surely transitioning into a more entrepreneurially minded city, and I would even dare say state. But this may offend some people. But in Silicon Valley, for example, they have a mentality of fail and fail fast. What you found here is that people haven't reframed their thinking appropriately. So that means if they throw something out there and the market doesn't want it, and their idea, what they hypothesized didn't work, then they quit and they think that's failure. That's not. Failure is only final when you quit. So one of the challenges that I think that entrepreneurs run into is they haven't reframed their thinking appropriately so that they embrace the fact that our goal is to continue to throw things out to the market, see how the market responds. And when they finally vote with their dollars or raising their hands, their dollars and or action, then we pour gasoline on the flame, right? Then we can say, all right, we've now found something that the market wants. And if we feel like we have the margins and we can deliver it in a way that's sustainable and scalable, then we have a business model. So the idea is we got to do rapid experimentation. It's not failure when you throw something out there. That's the name of the game. We should be throwing things out there over and over and over again until we find out what the market wants. So hopefully that helps someone. That frees them from thinking.
But you introduced an idea, and I want to segue because you have other things briefly I want you to chat about. But I love the idea of neuroscience. For those of you tuning in, marketing continues to evolve. It's not just advertising and promotion. It's not just the 4 Ps of product, price, promotion, and packaging. But there's an idea, and you can Google it. I want you to Google it. It's called neuroscience and its impact in marketing. And there are certain organizations that have done a phenomenal job with neuroscience. For example, Apple is one example. Well, Mark, what does that mean? Neuroscience talks about neurology, talks about the brain and how a brand makes it feel like you have to have it. We're tapping into that psyche of your brain. So the neurology, if you will. And so those organizations, the Nikes of the world, the Apples of the world, have done a phenomenal job of making you feel like you have to have that product, right? Neurologically, if you don't feel like, if you don't have it, you feel like you're really missing something. Therefore, it becomes an extension of you and your brand. So I love the fact that you brought in the idea of neuroscience, because a lot of businesses don't understand, how do I really connect with the audience? How do I identify a target market and really focus on what their specific needs are? And I think in the neuroscience area is beginning to explode. I want to get your further take on it. Do you think that's another differentiator, if you will, from a business perspective, irrespective of your small, medium, or large?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So I really do, to your point, appreciate how both neuroscience and psychology, there's been a great prevalence of education in that space to make it accessible to the average layman, right? Where that's not necessarily their profession. One of the people who I love in that space is Stanford neuroscientist, Dr. Andrew Huberman. And there are a number of others, some of my favorite podcasts. If people want to, take a deep dive, you can check out Tom Bilyeu at Impact Theory. You can check out Ed Mylett. There are others. And most certainly check out Dr. Andrew Huberman's show. Here's the wonderful thing about marketing that extends beyond just marketing. Because the psychology of people doesn't change, right? Because our neuroscience, like we have evolved over a long period of time, very, very, very slowly. What that means and what the benefit is if you spend your time understanding psychology and you spend just a little bit of time understanding neuroscience, then it's going to make you not just a much better marketer, right? It's going to make you a much better business professional entrepreneur, because we build businesses with people, right? We put systems in place and we have sharp people to oversee and iterate regarding those systems. or over those systems. But the reality is what you cannot escape, what's inescapable is us working with people. So when we begin to study that, it's not just going to help us from a marketing perspective, but it's going to help us from a life perspective because we're interacting with people.
And as we begin to wrap up, I want to segue because you're giving some very good advice and counsel. I also know that you do a lot of public speaking. You're on a lot of the panel discussions. You moderate a lot of panel discussions. Talk about that role that you're doing around Detroit and where people can find you in terms of your speaking engagements. I think you've written a book as well. So you truly are multifaceted. You're truly an entrepreneur, but yet you've been able to identify different lanes. So talk about, from your perspective, some of the things that you do, your public speaking, your moderating panel discussions, you're an author. Give you a couple minutes to recap with that.
Sure. Well, first I can share, if you want to find me, I'm on LinkedIn, N.M. Watts, and I'm on social, E&M Watts. That's I-A-N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, W-A-T-T-S. You can also visit my website, which is www.sbdreamcoach.com. S as in Sam, B as in boy, dreamcoach.com. So I do have a phenomenal time speaking with entrepreneurs, even though so much of what I am transitioning into now is working with larger corporations, because my desire, based upon where I have come from, was to be what I didn't see. I was looking for mentorship, in particular, mentors in the African-American community. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. So I resolved that I was going to be what I didn't see. And my mission is to build businesses to bless the world. So the next speaking engagement that I have actually is pretty cool because it's my second book that I'm publishing. It's called Cliche, and I'm going to have advanced copies available there. That book is designed to drastically enhance mindset, joy, and drive. And so what I do is I look at cliches through the lens of psychology and neuroscience to give people practical tools and takeaways. So that event, I believe, is on, forgive me, I should have known this, shame on me, is the 19th of November at Velocity out in Sterling Heights. So I'm excited about that because actually it's going to be a book reading. So they're doing an advanced book release party for me. So that's tremendously exciting. And I'm going to go through several chapters. So that's going to be pretty cool.
You know, I would tell you, for those of you tuning in, I just interviewed recently Megan Hobbs, I believe, from Velocity. And I think it's Hobbs. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
It's Megan.
Yeah, Megan Hobbs. And so if you want to find out more about Velocity, go back and click on all the previous conference rooms. I think it was probably 2 or 3 episodes ago. She can give you an update on what Velocity does out in Sterling Heights, and particular focus on Macomb County as well. Mr. Ian Watts, is there anything else? One more time, give everybody your website that they can go to and your other social contact information before we let you go.
Sure, absolutely. Website, sbdreamcoach.com, sbdreamcoach.com. And if I could just share one parting phrase that has been transformative in my life, let me just encourage, no matter where you are, everything great is on the other side of hard, and we have to be courageous. So let me just encourage, no matter where you are in your journey, do it afraid. Don't quit. Do it afraid. Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, the platform. This is phenomenal what you're doing.
You know, I couldn't say it any better in terms of that last quote that you just referenced. And Mr. Ian Watts, you're awesome. I had the opportunity of working with you recently and some other things, and just having conversations. We broke bread together. I think you're an asset to the city of Detroit and the metropolitan area and beyond. We thank you for your time, and we appreciate you. For all of you tuning in, I want you all to go out, make it a great day, make it a great week. We will check you out next time in the conference room with Mark Esri. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe. If I could talk, don't forget to subscribe to the Conference Room YouTube channel. All right, we'll talk to you all soon. Take care, everyone. Thanks.
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life. Detroit.